Yep, starting a new recording now. Yeah, awesome call today. And pardon me if my voice is a little bit different because I have a bit of a cold, but yeah, let's get to it. So, we have a few things planned today. We're going to do the summaries of the current proposals that are out. There are quite a few. And then we're going to move on to a few discussions with Laggin, Phase, and Futuristic. So, yeah. Um, so, starting off with the active proposals, we've got the official DApp features added by the DAO. This proposal is by FIFU and it ends in 3 days. Currently is 67% in favor, but the quorum is not quite reached yet. It's almost there, sitting at 8.7 out of 9 million, or 97% of the required voting power. So if you haven't read this or voted on it, please do so before the 5th. And if you want a refresher, it's about adding features to the Gotchi NFTs UI, like wearable outfit slots and easier viewing of stats, so you can see how your Gotchi would handle certain games and features of the ecosystem. It's a good one, so check it out. Next one, Gotchi Greeters V2 proposal by Light Piglet, Lost Local, T-Bird, No Futuristic, and Mr. Seb. This one ends in 2 days, currently at 84% in favor and ending very soon, but the quorum is nowhere near the finish line as it is 3/4 of the way through. 6.8 out of 9 million voting power. So if you do want for the DAO to fund the greeters at the real life events, go ahead and vote on that. Uh, Next up, small funding request for Grid Gladiator version 1. This is by Zygo and it ends in 7 days. Currently is at 66% in favor for this one, but the quorum is only at about 73%. You have a week left to check out this game proposal and vote. Aavegotchi X Sandbox proposal, maintenance, renewal, and termination by the Gotchi Farmy. This one ends in 10 days. Right now, it's sitting at 70% voting power in favor of renewing the funding for the Sandbox partnership, but there's plenty of time to reach the quorum, which is over halfway there as of today. And lastly, we have defining DAO director term lengths and process for future elections, written by Lagan and Phase. This one ends in 5 days on the 7th of November. It just got posted about 2 days ago, so it's only at 39% of the quorum, but it looks like 88% are in favor of defining 12-month terms for the DAO directors with no limits on the amount of terms. And if you have an opinion on this, go vote, and we will discuss it very soon during this very same call. And that is it for the active proposal summaries, and we can move on to the main discussion. First up, I have Strategotchi with Laggin. Welcome, Laggin.
Yo, GM, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, you sound
Uh,
good. GM.
if you guys mind pushing Strategotchi towards the end, because I'm going to take probably more than 15 minutes. I suggest we start probably with the DAO director stuff, and then maybe we can start with no futuristic had to say,
Yeah,
and then uh, and then we'll move into because I don't really have much to say on that. I mean, like it's the prop is up. Pretty much, I think everybody's in agreement that it's something we're gonna do. It was just a matter of somebody putting the prop up. So no futuristic. If you want to take over, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna drop an image into the DAO chat. This is something that I'm bringing here because it concerns me, and it involves a DAO director. Mike Callium has been very negative towards the DAO and our project in public in general. And during this week, during the Halloween event for Polygon in the Polygon Discord, he dropped this message where he's encouraging others to fork the Aavegotchi protocol. Now, I bring this forward. I'm trying to be, I'm measuring my words here because I'm not trying to, I'm gathering feedback. For me as a DAO director, as a steward of this DAO who's supposed to protect what we're doing here, I think this is inappropriate behavior. especially if we ever do become the custodians of the IP and the protocol, to have one of our own DAO directors go out and push for others to fork our work that's being done here. He's been extremely negative towards the project because he's unhappy with the direction of no longer building a supernet or CDK on base. He has basically not voted, or not voted, but signed transactions for almost 2 months. And it took us starting a conversation in the DAO directors discussion chat to basically, get him to start participating. He's basically not participating. He's not delivering on the fake wars thing, and he's advocating for other people to fork us. So I bring this forward just to start a discussion. Like, what is consider? Is this unacceptable? Is there a process in place for us to remove a director who's actively working against us and potentially undermining what we're doing here?
Okay, question. For those who might not know, what does it mean to fork in this context?
Copy pasta. Like basically take the protocol and have somebody launch a copy of it.
Oh,
And I will say I did reach out to a few DAO members to get feedback because I saw it and I was not a fan of this personally. And the consensus I've gotten from other members was this is unacceptable behavior. To me, it's a fatal sin. Like as a DAO director and a trusted steward, I don't think this behavior is acceptable.
yeah, definitely.
It's a bad look at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the main repo is open source. Like, it's been forked hundreds of times. Anyone can fork it, but not a great look for DAO director to be out there. I don't know, what else he's saying, but it's not it doesn't really represent the project very well. And if he's not voting as well, then that seems to be grounds for some a removal. Have to look at that. Have you guys looked at the Constitution to see what the process for that is? Do we have a process? It's been a while since I looked at it.
I have not. This all started Thursday, so this is a very preliminary. I wasn't even going to bring it up, to be honest. And then after gathering some feedback, I decided to bring it forward.
From what I remember, like when we had the discussion about the DAO director term lengths originally, um, I don't think there was a because there was issue with like it brought up the topic of how to go about um, Maury's replacement at the time. So we were trying to figure out like the idea was that there would eventually be like a global solution. That's what it was called in the chat to issues of like either someone stepping down or if the other like the active signers like the people who are actually meeting up during the week and making the signing the transactions in a timely manner, if they feel like somebody is lacking, then what's the process for them to go ahead and like kind of remove that person, or have that person replaced? So I don't think it was ever established.
And yes, Phantasma, he was the only director against term limits, elections, and often sought to expand the role of the DAO director beyond what it's supposed to be.
Have the link for the Constitution. I'm looking for it here. I'm sure it's pinned somewhere.
Oh, Choina posted something that looks relevant.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Choino. So I mean, aren't we having a if this proposal to have term lengths is instated, does that mean is that going to result in an election?
Yes. Basically, that's also one of the reasons why I pushed for this. I didn't really want to say it out loud because I don't really want to talk about the guy. But yeah, we need to get rid of the grifters and move like, open up a new page where we don't have this type of behavior going on. People leeching off the DAO, taking multiple salaries from here and from there for a bunch of nonsense that they're never going to deliver on.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is going to solve the issue. So looks like everybody's in agreement.
So I mean, according to the Constitution, the council can remove a director. But if we also want to if we're going to have an election soon anyway, there's no currently there's nothing in the Constitution, I don't think, that allows the DAO directors themselves to remove another director. Maybe Tonya, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But we did. It would make sense to maybe amend the Constitution a little bit to have checks on like activity. If someone has not voted in so and so time, it makes sense to remove them. I think we talked about those quotas before.
I'll just say, listening in here, I think it's really good, like these to talk about these types of levers, right, for how the DAO is to function, how membership or certain roles function, or the cycles for how long term limits, that kind of stuff. That's all stuff that is good to brush up on and actually use. It's like a muscle. We have to use it once in a while, exercise it to make sure it works. And then less focus on the individual, that maybe kicked off the reason for the conversation. Just, I think everybody here, it's nothing personal, and we don't know the motives, but maybe that person has moved on and is busy with other stuff, is kind of checked out from Aavegotchi. That's okay. Then we should fill that seat with somebody who's more engaged, right? And it doesn't have to be anything personal. So but yeah, we got to exercise the muscles and make sure we have all the levers that a functioning organization like this would need to have. So it's probably a good conversation to have.
Yeah, Musashi's saying that Michaelium was always a big supporter of Aavegotchi. That is true. Like in the beginning, he did do a lot of stuff. However, he was also supposed to be developing Fake War, and he kept promising me, "Oh, next week I'll come to the DAO call, and next week." And there's still nothing about Fake War really. And we already funded that project. I believe it's getting past the timeline for what was supposed to be developed. I think that's another thing. But yeah, definitely. Anyone have? Yeah, nobody likes talking shit. Thrax. Pardon my language. We just need to do what's best for the protocol. I agree. But yeah. Where do we see the current list of DAO directors again? Wandagachi is asking.
Like the names,
Yeah,
or
where it's I guess where we can see the official, like, I don't know, list of, what's going on with that. If there's like an updated info page or something.
we were so close to shipping something like that. I think it has not been shipped on the DApp yet, but we were very close before all the Geist stuff started. Team page and DAO and contributors and all that. Yeah, make sure we circle back to that.
Also, just to address Musashi here, because he does make a good point that him not showing signing the transactions to show it. We have our DAO directors chat, which has the transactions list that we signed, and you can see clearly his voting behavior because it shows it needs 5 of us to sign something, and we all generally when we sign we put in there, 1 of 4, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5. I went back and looked, and it's been 2 months. Now, there is someone, I think it was actually Mycalium that did it, was able to look at the multi-sig and pull out that information. This is part of why I brought it here to see if this is even worth it. But I can tell you by looking at the DAO directors chat and our transaction history, he has signed no signatures in 2 months. And then prior to that was very infrequent. Yeah, I know you're not in the DAO director chat. I also, I don't know if it's okay for me, this is why I'm bringing it here, to actually bring those screenshots for that. I can show you, I can do a screenshot right now of the last signature he did, which was 2 months ago. But anyone that's a little more tech savvy, I mean, I can also, I guess I can go to the multi-sig and look for that. I would have to find his wallet though. But I can definitely show in our transactions that, what's it called? His last signature, because I was looking at it the other day before I made this, before I started bringing this forward. See, last signature was no, there's an August 17th signature from him. And then the one after that, there might be one after that. Let's see. September 9th.
The last director we had this issue was with, I mean, Maury. He was just too busy to be a director. But I think he just resigned, right? And did we have an election to fill that spot yet?
Yes, that was for first Aavegotchi.
Yeah, that's right.
He
Yeah.
replaced him.
So this is a different case because it's actually kind of negligence. So I mean, what we really need is the DAO needs to vote on some terms for what is negligence and something that would spark kind of a single election for that person. I mean, that could also kind of be gamed because someone could come and just vote. If we had the term set at 3 months, they could just show up every 3 months and vote. We wouldn't be able to, get rid of them either. So we've
This
kind
is
of got
sort
to
of
think
why I brought
through.
this forward because we actually did have this discussion. I believe it was on a hangout not too long ago, maybe a few months ago,
Yeah.
where we were talking about minimum voting requirements, 30% or 50%. Oliver Spoon had dropped out some information, and then yeah, that's when he started to come back and vote again. And
Yeah.
I'll work with some people to get this information off of safe so I can present it appropriately. But that's why I want to bring the conversation forward and have this discussion because I don't think we have the rails that we need to
Yeah.
behave in the most appropriate way if we're in a situation where a DAO director is acting inappropriately.
Well, the other way would just be to say, uh, instead of the DAO having to vote, like the DAO can vote people in, but directors could also have the ability to, like, by a strong majority, like also be able to remove directors. We would have to amend the Constitution to do that, but that would be another way. It's just it's almost like that back in the day that was that thing that Yearn made. It was, what, anyone remember what that was called? It was like kind of you're aping. It was like a circle, and they would like give each other rewards, but not that philosophy. But the idea is that directors know who's doing the best job, and you could vote people out basically. I agree, Chonya. Like, just because someone shows up to vote, also, if they're not actually checking what the transactions are, like, that's not good either. people should do a little bit of due diligence as well. So if they were literally just signing but not even looking at the transaction and not doing the check-ins, like they do the weekly check-in, that could also be grounds for dismissal. What do people think about the directors having that method to remove people? Maybe like a 7 out of 9 or something, like a very strong majority.
I mean, as a director, I would rather it. I know it's inefficient, but I'd rather it be put up to a vote with the full DAO.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want that discretion. I think we can lean on our like we can make a case for why to the DAO. I think that's fair. But yeah.
Yeah.
And either way, like after the election happens, if this prop passes, and it's looking like, there's a good chance that it will, um moving forward, because the term limits are more defined, I think it'll encourage the current DAO directors to actually do what they signed up for. You know what I mean? When there was no limit to how long you were going to be there, people can get complacent and very comfortable just knowing that their salary is coming in regardless. So it's like, oh, okay, I might just skip a month or two here and there when I got other things to do. But if there's a time limit on that, and you know that in that time limit, like, your fellow DAO directors could get rid of you if you're not kind of pulling your own weight, then I think things will just like balance themselves out. It'll be fine moving forward. Like, with there will always kind of like be an election on the horizon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for what it's worth, and maybe Choyna could back me up because I don't know if any of the other directors are here. We did have a discussion in the directors chat about not participating and how it's your role to participate, and that's when he actually came back and started to, sign transactions. He did, I think, prior to the one in September, there was one each month. So we had to kind of push him to get back in because we were having this discussion about Maury and the replacement of Maury. So it
Yeah.
is a thing.
So just to be clear, the defining DAO director term length and process for future elections will result, if it does pass, that will result in a snap election.
Yes, it's mentioned in there. Yep.
Okay. Oh, it says a follow-up proposal will be launched upon the passing of this core prop, ending the current term and determining which candidates are selected for the next term. So it won't be this prop, but one more prop after this.
Right. So we'll basically have it'll probably be in the thread that's already there in the DAO forum, where people will nominate themselves. We'll do the basic nomination, and then from there, leave it up for about a week or two, and then from there, an official like election prop be launched. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Well, it sounds like this will probably work itself out unless he gets voted in again, but it seems unlikely.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
All right, is that everything we have for the DAO director's term length conversation? Or that was DAO director removal. Is there anything to say more about the term length proposal?
No, I think most of it's been said in the thread. Sorry, go ahead, Lagan.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say what you're saying, pretty much. Not much really to say. Get your votes in. I guess there's about 5 days left. I really haven't checked the quorum situation, but yeah, let's get it done, guys. Let's get it done. I put it was I think 8 days total. I think it finishes on the 7th, so yeah, 5 more days.
All right, yeah, go vote. 5 more days. Awesome. So next up, we do have the Strategotchi segment, and we have lag in here already.
Yes, yes, we do. Okay, guys. First of all, thanks for the time. This may take a little bit longer than 15 minutes, so bear with me.
No problem.
What I want to do is just sort of go over where we started, where we are right now, and then where we're heading in the future. Give you guys kind of an overview of where we're at with our deliverables and our timeline and our budget and all that good stuff. So let me start off by dropping some videos here. So we started about 6 months ago. And the game looked like this. And then from there, we went to this. And finally, this is what the game looks like right now. Third video is coming. So yeah, once the video loads, you guys are going to be able to see really the progress that was made in the last 6 months. The proposal that the last proposal that we did, we actually asked for 4 months, and it took us a little bit longer. It was a proposal for the game and the SDK. So we delivered the SDK on time. Thanks for that. And then yeah, the game took a little bit longer, and now it's online and everything's up and working. So it took about a total of 6 months. Yeah, that's the state of the game right there. And then let me also drop a link to the SDK dressing room so you guys can see just sort of like all the work that was done in the last 6 months. Oh, what did I do? Dressing room, yeah. Okay, yeah, so you guys can see like there's a lot of changes, right? Lots of improvements. The reason I wanted to show you this is because I just wanted to give you guys like a little bit of an idea of the work that was put into this and the amount of like heart and dedication that the whole team is really like putting into this on a daily basis. Like I haven't taken any vacations. I work on weekends. You can ask Face. Uh, yeah, I've been working really hard, and so is the whole team, and I'm really happy with the results. We had initially, like the promise was to build the SDK and then set up the infrastructure for multiplayer and PvP. So the real deliverable on the gameplay side was actually like to just take the that last video that you can see with the blue background. We're just supposed to take that mode and make it like multiplayer, co-op multiplayer, and you'd be able to play with your own gotchis, right? Because in the beginning we only had those 3 like pre-made avatars, and we didn't have the whole SDK or anything like that. So we were supposed to build that and just do the basic infrastructure. But as you guys can see, we went like way above and beyond. We really focused on gameplay. We created a boss fight. We expanded on the harvesting mechanic. We created the whole concept of the Alchemica grid for those of you who've played the game. And you can notice in the video that you're harvesting different types of Alchemica and you have to find it, and it's way more complex and deep right now. So yeah, that. And then I also want to bring attention to one thing, which is budget. I know the DAO has like probably a case of spending fatigue right now. We've been spending pretty hard. So I just want to like basically give you guys like an overview what we've cost the DAO so far, so that you can see that the value is there and it's coming at a really good price point. So I'm going to compare myself to some of the other projects, and by no means am I trying to throw shade on any of the other builders here. On the contrary, like, I respect everything that everybody's doing, the ones who are actually building. But I just want to point out that from the beginning until today, when we've delivered everything, the Strategotchi has cost a total of about 220K, which actually equates to less than half of the other two big DAO games, Battler and Dropped, which are each pushing over 450K at this point. And on top of the game, we delivered the SDK, which is a huge value on its own. So yeah, people are like, there's going to be a funding proposal soon to fund the next iteration and the roadmap that I presented. Some of you may have read it. It's in this new thread here. Let me drop a link. Yeah, so I started an early discussion about what are my intentions for the next year of development and where I want to take it. So yeah, there's going to need to be another funding proposal for this. And my idea this time is that I want to request a full year's worth of commitment from the DAO. The last time we asked for, the first time we asked for a really small budget to get the demo going. I think it was like a month or a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. It was really short. The next one was 4 months. It turned into 6 months. And the next one I'm hoping will be a year-long commitment. And I really think that in that year, we're going to be able to build something like you guys can imagine what the game is going to look like, just comparing from the old videos to what we have right now. Imagine another full year's worth of effort put into it. Yeah, so you guys can take a look at the that 2025 vision to kind of see what I'm talking about. I laid out like a very like zoomed out kind of overview / roadmap of what the structure of deliverables is going to be. And it's basically the whole plan is it revolves around getting to a point of monetization and user retention as quick as possible. So my original roadmap had a lot of ideas. It had a lot of different versions, 2.1, 2.2. They had a lot of, we didn't really start talking about monetization until something like version 2.4 or 2.5. So yeah, I realized that that's not going to be acceptable and that we need to get into monetization as soon as possible. So this is the approach that I came up with. You guys can read it in that thread. And it's basically to create a system where we expand the SDK. Okay, so this is going to be the backbone of everything that comes after. So you expand the XDK to give us a bunch of content. From that content, we're able to create new game modes and new content that's from us in the game. And on top of that, it gives us the ability to tap into user-generated content and having the community create stuff for the game, basically. So yeah, it's gonna have it's basically like a three-pronged approach where each prong kind of has its own monetization mechanism and works with the others to make this like whole. And yeah, check it out, and looking forward to your feedback on that. If there's any questions, I haven't really been looking at the chat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm working on the budget right now. I still have a few things that I need answered. We're gonna be expanding the team. We're gonna be hopefully bringing on some heavy hitters to join us on a couple different sides with the Web3 stuff, with even the UI. So yeah, I'm working on that, and I'm going to be dropping that pretty soon, probably a proposal. So yeah, if you guys have any like questions or comments or concern, feel free to ask or just type it in the thread.
Logan, I'm looking at the last post where you go through like the deliverables for each quarter. I mean, I think the DAO at this point, we're all kind of interested in how to make this kind of experiment in this Web3 IP sustainable for the DAO, whether it's Pixelcraft or Battler or Strategotchi. So everyone's kind of focused on, and rightly so, like how do we make this more from a hobby NFT into a real kind of a business and generate revenue for the DAO. So is it? I'm looking at monetize UGC. Is that the main monetization engine that you're looking at for this?
Yeah, it works hand in hand with the PvP battles. So the PvP battles will be like wagered matches. Um, People will be able to go in and fight against another player for a certain amount of ghost, and a percentage of that will be raked. And that will tie into the user generated content where the users were going to be the ones creating the maps for players to actually go fight on. So if you have
Right.
like unique items, and this is where the also like another point of monetization is like releasing and selling NFT building blocks, I call them. They're like installations and they're specialized tiles that initially will be they'll be like decorations that you can put on your parcel in the Gotchiverse until the map maker mode is up, and at that point there'll be like building blocks that you can use to create a map in Strategotchi. So your map will have healing pads, or your map will have teleporters, or depending on if you have those building blocks or not. You know, so if you have cool stuff, you can make cool maps. People want to play PvP matches on your content, and then you take a cut of the rake, and then so on and so forth. And the final like monetization strategy that kind of works with this is the fact that we're going to be well, I want to be expanding this SDK so that I can build the stuff that I want to build. So, but at the same time, we could always like sell these things on online marketplaces, places like Unity Asset Store and others. These like really like high quality asset packs they sell for good money, and like right now there's like a lack of um, in my opinion high quality stylized kind of cartoony style voxel asset packets. I would have been using them if they were there,
Right.
but the fact that they're not there, and if it is, it doesn't really, the style doesn't kind of really work. I really think that we could like fill a gap in the market, and the cool thing is that you can like package so many different types of like from small packs to huge packs. You know, whether or not we include the gotchis and the wearables, that's something we can discuss. But I mean, they could be like you could remove the spirit force and call them like pixelated ghosts or whatever, you know. But there's also the fact that we're going to be building the world, and that's my main goal is to really build all the stuff that is needed to make like a gotchiverse. So like you feel that like I wish I had that image, but there was that like map that you guys had released way back in the day that showed the grid and the gotchiverse and all the different areas and stuff. And I think that like sparked a lot of imagination among the community. Um,
Yeah,
and
for
I'd
sure.
like to get into actually building those areas. So that's how I've kind of separated the the structure of how I want to start the flow of how I want to start building the SDK. It's going to be based on like each biome. So the first quarter would be the Forest of FUD, and we'd make all the things that you'd need for like a Forest of FUD, from like floors to walls to trees to objects and everything that comes along with that. Enemies, NPCs, and then the next quarter would be the FOMO Springs, and then the Alpha Lakes, and then the Keck Mountains. So at the end, you'd have all these assets. Uh, which developers, even DAO developers, will be able to make like visually cohesive games. That's a really important one for me. Uh, is because the style is so like unique. It's hard to really. I mean, you can't really build a game with just main characters. You need enemies. You need different types of stuff. You need content to build the world that you're playing in. And so having that would also benefit us in that way as well.
Awesome. I really appreciated how you laid out the historical roadmap about the evolution of Strategotchi. That was really cool. I remember the very first XP event, um, and it was like super fun. The game was already super fun at that point already when there were like only 3 characters to choose from and all that. And the grid was it seemed like a lot simpler with what you could do with it, and now it's come such a long way. And I'm proud of what you've done. It's awesome. It's
Thank you so much.
yeah,
Really appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
so
course.
that's the plan is basically like the way I see it is that we have like this next year to kind of make it or break it. And so I really want to go like full force in hopes of making it. So what we're going to end up with, hopefully, if my proposal passes and we're able to do the work, is we're going to have a product at the end of the day that is going to look amazing. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a game that utilizes all of our assets like to their fullest potential. We're gonna do all the things that we wanted to do. We're gonna get into handheld wearable utility as well as all wearable utility. That's also part of the roadmap. And so it's gonna get to a point where there was also those images that Pixelcraft released a long time ago where it was telling us basically what all the different types of wearables are going to do inside the Gotchiverse. We're going to have that in Strategotchi, and it's going to have built-in monetization mechanisms. It's going to have ways for players to engage in different ways with creativity, and that's it. Like it's going to be a complete product basically, and at that point it's going to be up to Pixelcraft to get the users, and hopefully those two things will come together and it'll make something good for us.
I mean, I push back a little bit on that. Like the power of having this community and ecosystem of different games is that we have each game brings its own energy to the this goal of user acquisition that we have as a protocol. Like it's I don't think it's not just Pixelcraft like doing marketing
Not just,
for the
not just
games. Oh yeah.
we'll do our best.
So I
But
mean,
no, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, like with what you guys are building with Geist, and you guys have, I guess, a bigger budget for marketing than I could even ask for, really, because it would get ridiculous if I asked for a real marketing budget. Um, so we would rely on the stuff that you guys have on your
sure.
roadmap, like the different quests and the things that you're building and the integration with the Gotcha gaming console to kind of support each other in that, you could say.
Do you guys like have any members like specific content that you're planning into this roadmap that you would be able to give to Geist members that would help us attract people to become members and also give them something for that?
We're still really like finalizing those details, but yeah, that's definitely the plan. The plan is to be a Geist game, to integrate with the Gotcha gaming console. So
Yeah.
you're going to be getting badges. You're going to be getting. We want to work with your loot box system
Mhm.
to distribute rewards in that way. Um, Part of the
What
vision.
what kind of stuff do you think you'll be able to like? What are you thinking of putting into the loot boxes? I mean, because you probably won't have skins, or will you? Or like, what is the
Yeah, we will.
strategy?
We will. But I don't think that is gonna be like a big enough pull. I think
Hmm.
that's like an extra. So a combination of that and protocol assets, like things that are actually worth money, like that are like established that they're worth money already. So I would probably either request a separate budget or do some kind of prop, or some, maybe I'm not the one that's even in charge of this, but that there would be like a seasonal, it could be quarterly, guaranteed rewards in the form of alloy, ghost, schematics, things like that, wearables, where you, based on how many points you earn throughout the season, you'll get like cool stuff in a loot box at the end. And I think that will incentivize people to play the game, play the the wagering mode, like incentivize them to spend money to try to make more money. Like we've seen that model works with basic things like a Alchemica spending competition. So I think we just got to take that, focus on that, and just figure out how to make it cool, and then we're gonna win.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it for me, guys.
Any token? You guys plan any token launch? Thought about it at all?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. Initially, that was part of the idea,
Yeah.
but now I'm thinking maybe it's not the best idea. But yeah, before any like funding proposal goes up, all these things are gonna get ironed out, and I'm gonna release like a way more detailed roadmap. And yeah, that's what I've been working on lately, and should be up pretty soon. Should be ready soon. Just waiting on a few questions to be answered.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. It's obvious you're putting so much effort into this. So yeah, if that's all for this segment, we do have a little bit of time left. You recently started a new Discord channel thread called The Future of Rarity Farming. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one since we have some time?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not the guy to really be speaking on this. I kind of I opened up that thread just as like to facilitate the conversation, and thank God it took off. The big brains got to doing
Right.
their thing, and I suggest everybody goes in there and reads what people have been saying. There's some good ideas in there, and yeah, it's something that we need to start talking about basically right now, and figuring out before it's too late.
Yeah, for sure. What was the
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, what was the problem that you needed that you saw that might need solved in relation to the future of rarity farming? Just for
Well, the fact that we don't really have we don't have more than, I guess, a year's worth of something, right? Pretty much, it's like 3.5 rarity farmings left. Yeah, so somewhere around that. And then the wallet that's been earmarked for rarity farming gets depleted. But we still have a bunch of other money in different places earmarked for different things. So some people are saying, let's take that, put into rarity farming. Other people are saying maybe we need to change how we rarity farm and cut down on the rewards so that it can be more sustainable and last a longer time, basically.
Yeah, perfect. So, anyone who has a big brain should go check out that thread and help that out if you're listening right now. Yeah, good stuff being talked about in there. And I believe that is all we have for today.
Real quick, I'm just gonna while we got people here, it's great to just get opinions. We're gonna be making this prop very soon about the Gotchi collateral, and just I wanted to direct people over here real quick to this post. I basically outlined two approaches. Let me go and find my own. So there's we just need to make a decision as a DAO on how we want to handle this migration for gotchis. Basically, do we care if the collateral stays in them on Polygon, or do we want to uh, basically swap out the gotchi collateral and replace it with Ghost before we allow them to bridge? Does anyone have any strong yes or no opinions? Like, do you want the gotchis to go to Geist with Ghost already in their pocket, locked on Polygon, or would you prefer to just be able to take the Ghost and take the gotchi collateral out on Polygon, free it, and then let your gotchi go over to Geist with basically with an empty stomach, empty pocket, and then uh, we're working on some initiatives, a new initiative related to kind of gamified staking that that's kind of a secret project I'm working on. But that will end up replacing the yield bearing aspect for the gotchi, I think. Yeah, immaterial. You don't necessarily need to know how gotchi staking 2.0 is going to work, because it's really the decision we have to make now is like, do we want to keep these collaterals in or not? Because once you bridge it over to Geist, you won't be able to get it out unless you bridge it back to Polygon. So I personally, like, my pet project right now that I'm working on weekends and thinking about a lot is ghost staking and how we can bring the various yields that are going to be on Geist back to gotchi holders in a gamified staking program. Because I really, really want to have, I want Aavegotchi to be the project when people think about, like, they know we do gaming and they know we do other stuff and we have our chain, but we really need to own the idea of being like the crypto pet that gets you a yield. Like, if we can just own that as a project, I think we'll do fine. So this is the gaming is a way. I view all the gaming projects that we're working on as a way to generate yield, in a sense that it's not necessarily like speculative yield. It's yield generated by entertainment. People spending money on fun stuff that it's not like pure kind of Ponzi-nomics. I didn't really explain that very well, but it's very late here. So, but the basic idea is that any yield that we are able to generate, or not any yield, but a good portion of yield on Geist, can be given back to like gotchi holders that are holding Ghost in the gotchi. And so the gotchi will be the vessel for receiving yield from the Geist chain. So let me check the chat. Let's see. Nila says, if we take it out ourselves, there isn't any liquidity to swap it out, right? Right. So what we've run the numbers. We know roughly how much collateral is out there, and I think, Pixelcraft, we are happy to do OTCs and stuff with people on Polygon if you don't want to bring it back to Ethereum yourself. Because what you can do is you can withdraw it, and then if it's an AM token, you can just withdraw it on Polygon on Aave. But if it's a Ma token from the Haunt 1 gotchis, you got to go back to Ethereum to take that out of Aave. So we'd be fine like covering that for people. We would just send you the equivalent in either USDC or Ghost, and you would send us the collateral. And once we batch enough of it, we'll just transfer it back to Ethereum and withdraw it from there. I don't see any issue with that, assuming that Aave V1 has enough liquidity, which I did check today. I think they do. So that's that. You wouldn't have to swap it. You're not going to be swapping any collateral. You would be withdrawing it from Aave to collect the collateral plus the interest. Immaterial says, if we have a bunch of Ghost staking coming on Geist, let's do whatever is simplest. Right now, removing and migrating them over the empty pockets. That's my position as well. But I am mindful of people who the floor price, for example, maybe it might go down because gotchis have 25 less U-Link or A-Link, whatever, inside of them. That's a possibility. Then Matokens, yeah. Matokens. So the PG says, my main concern, DAO should provide liquidity for that and facilitate the redeeming of Ma tokens on mainnet. That's where I sort of disagree. Like, yeah, it'd be great if the DAO could do that, but how the DAO does that is, I guess, the main question. We're not going to be like having the DAO directors. I mean, I guess we could bridge liquidity back and forth and redeeming them on Aave. We're happy to do that and facilitate that. We'll assign some members of the team to help with that process. It's not a huge thing. But it sounds like most people are leaning towards, let's just release the collaterals and bridge the gotchis over as they are, and they can get filled up again on Geist once we start doing some new staking. Okay, real quick emoji poll. Nothing final, of course. We still gotta make the actual prop, but let's call it clean slate versus bridge. Let's swap for ghost. If that makes sense. Clean slate versus swap for ghost. Clean slate means just take the collateral out and redeem it, and don't bridge anything over. Swap for ghost means you would withdraw the collateral, but you'd have to put ghost in the same transaction. So it'd be kind of an atomic transaction where your gotchi's collateral would leave and the ghost would go in the same transaction. The gotchis won't be dead. We would update the contract to allow you to remove the collateral without sacrificing it. Yes, atomic. It means like the state change happens at the same time. Okay, it's fairly close, fairly close.
And it's a
Swap for
tie.
Ghost equals, I don't think that swap for ghost, doesn't really mean like pump. It's not that much buying pressure on ghosts, really. Ghost does huge amounts of volume on various exchanges every day. Clean slate just means no minimum versus swapping ghost. You would still, we have like 3 tiers of gotchi stakes, 25, 50, and 100. So if you withdraw your collateral, you'd have to, and it's 100 ghost, $100 worth of collateral gotchi, you'd have to put 100 ghost in, basically. Sonia says, oh wait, I changed my mind. What changed your mind, sir? Guys, we're gonna lock up Ghost on Geist. The main thing is that if you lock it in your gotchi, if we do any sort of staking, we will count it on Geist if it's locked on Polygon. It's more work to do that though, and you won't be able to get that Ghost back unless you basically bridge it back and sacrifice it on Polygon. So it is a little bit messy. Personally, we would prefer the clean slate option because it's just cleaner and easier, and there's a lot going on right now. But we are mindful of what people think. So I'm gonna put that in the prop that it would be significantly easier for us to not have to code extra things to handle these cases. If you bridge it, so if we remove the collateral requirement and you bridge it over, there's still not going to be a collateral requirement on Geist, but we are working on some new Ghost staking, gamified staking, where you'll have an incentive to lock up Ghost in your Gotchi on Geist. But it won't be a requirement like it currently is. It's more like a nice treat for your Gotchi. Will it be interest bearing? That's the plan. I mean, staking is interest. So we have a pretty, what I think is a pretty fun idea for a new version of gamified staking that I think people will dig. Van Hesma says swap with Ghost option is bad UX in some cases. Put in 25 USD. So it wouldn't be a swap. It would, like my wife's Gotchi that has a ton of Bitcoin in it. You would just remove the collateral and deposit 25 Ghost in the same transaction. It wouldn't be you're not swapping the collateral for Ghost. You're removing the collateral and putting in the required amount of Ghost. That would be the swapping. We call it a swap, but it's not really. It's more like an exchange. I don't know what to call it. Let me go up to the how's the informal poll doing? Okay, looks like clean slate. If you have a lot of H1 gotchis, you are putting in a lot more worth to get back illiquid low value tokens. You mean because the token, they're not illiquid. You can get them back, and we're going to facilitate the OTC. But if you bought a YFI gotchi and put $50 of YFI in it, I'm sorry, like the value of YFI has gone down 90%. It's just worth less. Whereas the WBTC gotchis like went up. That's kind of the choice of who bought that gotchi, right? Buying a gotchi and putting $100 of a token in it is a kind of a bet that token is going to maintain its value. So you got to put in extra 50 Ghost and get back pennies of me. I mean, if that's the logic, then we couldn't do the OTC, because then we'd be literally losing money on the OTC. It's like when you got the gotchi, you put $50 worth of YFI in it. I mean, most people would think that YFI was going to go up or down, right? So yeah, that's another reason that the thing is, like, when you do the OTC with whether it's us or with the DAO, you're going to give us $10 worth of YFI, and we're going to give you $10 worth of USDC. I mean, there's no disagreement with that, right? We can't give you $50 back worth of YFI that's worth $10, whether it's the DAO or Pixelcraft doing that. It's these gotchis are the spirits of liquidated degens.
I think we need a pros and cons chart.
Yeah, so again, I'm in the camp that we don't need to fill the gotchis back up, and it's simpler for us. There's also no extra ghost, I guess, if you view it that way. That sounds great to me, because then that's less work for us to do. But we are planning to have this gamified staking on Geist, members only, by the way.
Sweet.
What might happen to an unopened H1 portal after all this is said and done? Would I have to summon it with Ma tokens, then somehow release those tokens to Ghost to bridge that gotcha to guys? So with the portals, once we remove the collateral requirement, you won't have to put the collateral into the portal to open it. But there still will be different collateral looking gotchis. It's just they're more like a team now. You don't have to put the collateral in them. Okay. Cool, friends. Well, that sounds like people are pretty clear on this. So expect the prop on this. Now we have a little bit more bandwidth. Gonna put the prop out on this, and the faster we can kind of approve it, the faster we'll start really finalizing the Aavegotchi migration. We're hoping to have it done. I would like to have it by basically the third week of November. Third, fourth week is what we're kind of aiming for. So I'm going to probably make this prop for 7 days, and hopefully we can meet quorum in time.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Just a reminder to get your votes in for the greeters and the DAP features, because those are ending pretty soon and they just need a little push. And we'll see you guys next week.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thank you guys for hosting.
Yep. Thanks. Yep. Thank you for a great call, everybody. Lots of information, lots of stuff to consider today. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
See ya.
Take it easy, friends.
Peace.